I'm Dave Wiesdock, Sage of Creative Scaffolding.
And I'm Jen West, Professional Rebel of Delight.
And this is Shadowcasting. Hey everyone, today is another quote day.
Quote day.
I love our quote podcast because quotes are just my favorite thing. I love hearing them, thinking about them, trying to apply them to my life. This is just such my niche. Anyways, I was going on a walk this week and thinking a lot about trees, actually. And one of the reasons I was thinking about trees is because we have some in our backyard that we unfortunately need to take out. But one of the issues that we're having with them is just how deep the roots are in these trees. And they have to do this thing where they cut them down like by branches and then by levels and then in chunks. And then they got to go in after they cut down most of the tree and get into the roots and try to pull it out that way. And it just made me think about how simple a tree is and yet how sturdy it is, how much effort and work it takes to remove something that is just being what it is. It reminded me of this quote by Eckhart Tolle, and I thought that would be a fun quote to share today. And
Excellent.
I think we've talked about Eckhart Tolle in the past. So the quote by Eckhart Tolle is, "Look at a tree, a flower, a plant. Let our awareness rest upon it. How still they are, how deeply rooted in being. Allow nature to teach you stillness."
It makes me want to go sit under a tree and just be.
Right? I thought that same thing, especially as I read, allow nature to teach you stillness. There's just such a natural pause after reading that last sentence. And I think, what comes up for you for this quote?
Well, as you were saying that, you said, I think that'll do it. Let's wrap it up. That was my first thought.
Okay.
But no, as we're thinking about this quote, I really like how it talks about how deeply rooted in being. Because when we look at plants or algae or even animals, when you get to it, they are what they are. They're not doing things, they're being what they are. And we could step into that more. I think it's something that we want to practice. That's where becoming present lives, in allowing who we are to show up and rooted in who we are and being who we are, and just not always thinking about doing. Doing is something that comes after, that sprouts up from our being instead of doing for the sake of doing.
Yeah, the being part jumped out at me as well. And for those listening, just so you know, the being is capital B. So it's not, or maybe more specifically, it is a reference to kind of a state of presence, a state of being. And in our podcast, the way that we grow our roots and make them deeper is by exploring things like our values, our purpose, and finding ways to get our roots deeper into the hard earth soil. And that takes time, it takes presence, and it takes effort. And we do that through cultivating our awareness, by resting our awareness on who we are. And so we talked about this, I think, in our very first podcast about a tree casting a shadow. You know, it's a tree shadow because it has the shape of a tree. And, you know, a flower has a flower shadow is a flower because it's the shape of a flower. Even in our shadows being a reflection of who we are and what we cast out, it is still just that, a reflection of our being. The more we deeply root ourselves in who we be, the stronger and clearer that image is of how we reflect ourselves out in the world around us.
Yeah. And it speaks to a practice of dropping all the doing.
Yes.
Go out, sit with a plant, and find that stillness. Allow yourself to not do. Get present with the world. And, you know, we had the podcast on discomfort. So allow
Yeah.
that discomfort of stillness to be in you. And then, podcast that's coming after this one, presence. And you can't really be present unless you can sit in that discomfort.
You know, I don't think we typically do challenges on our quote cast, but this just is just jumping out at me. I think for those that are looking for a little extra bonus credit or extra challenge this week, go out and find some stillness in nature because I'm telling you, as we're recording and talking on this podcast, I'm just doing this inherently myself. So why not have our, audience join me and join us doing this? Go outside, sit under a tree, find your moss covered rock, look up at the stars if you're a nighttime person, or go for a walk, listen to the birds, and really just be present with yourself and what's around you and see what comes up.
Yeah.
Don't judge it. Don't try to force a certain realization or awareness. Just be with what is and
Yeah.
and see if you can listen for that stillness. That's really what I'm going to try to do. Can I be out in nature and be still and still my mind?
Yeah. Try not to think about the past. Try not to think about the future. If you have any thoughts, have them be about what's happening when you're out in nature, about that thing. And it's hard. It's hard not to go forward and back. I think that's a great challenge. And I love having one in a quote cast just to shake it up a bit. Yeah, we can leave it at that. I think this quote really needs presence and going out and trying it.
And stillness.
Stillness. Oh,
All right. Well, as always, make sure to subscribe and give us a like wherever you're listening from. Share us out to your friends and family and drop us a comment. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know if you try this challenge. And until next time.
see ya.